Well, well, well. How's your Christmas weekend starting off? Well, if you're a Phoenix Suns fan, you tuned into a game that's supposed to start at 8, but because it's an ESPN game, didn't start till felt like 8:45, Arizona time, of course. And then it just dragged on and the Suns were instantly down 20 points and stayed down 20 points the remainder of the game. Playing against Memphis, a team that was fully healthy, knowing that we didn't have Devin Booker and the Cams and all the other excuses that we're used to hearing these days, Matthew, we just find ourselves down 20 points in first quarters way too often this year. Am I right or am I wrong?
Yeah, it's quick. It's basically a lot of these games where you just know you're shorthanded. Suns will be down quick before maybe even the first time out. And it's like too late to change anything, too late to make the adjustments. They're down on themselves. No one really believes in themselves. It's hard to watch. After one quarter again tonight, the Suns lose. It's just one quarter and they're done. It's over.
And we're seeing this
There's
consistently
a lot of
this year.
Yeah, we are.
And that's
Injuries,
the challenge.
Right? Should we blame
injuries, lack of engagement? Well, what is one of the things you talked about at the front end of the year? The regular season doesn't matter. And it almost feels like the Phoenix Suns have that same mentality that they're like, okay, we know we're going to be in the playoff hunt at the back end of this thing. And sometimes they just don't come out focused. And we could blame Monty Williams. We could blame the players. You can give credit to the Memphis Grizzlies and the way that they played in this game. But at the end of the day, as a Suns fan, it just kind of sucks.
Yeah, and we get no views. No Jamsters that are here, we love you for being here, but no one joins us, and I like the more people. Usually,
well, you're wrong.
I don't like the crowds, but
you're wrong. More people will join us.
Yeah.
So let's bring in Sir Hammo from the Aussie Suns Fans Podcast. He's joining us. How are you doing?
Been better, but very, very happy to be here, guys. Thanks for having me.
Well, we're super excited now. So where exactly are you on this planet we know as Earth?
So I'm about an hour and a half, 2 hours south of Sydney.
Okay, and so it's like summer down there, though, right?
Yeah, man. It's a good probably 26 degrees Celsius today. So I don't know. Matthew seems like the kind of guy that'll know the math.
Yeah, what's the math on that, Matthew?
I don't know.
What is?
I was like, wait, that's cold, right?
Somebody in the chat, let us know what that is. Well, we'll go to the other spectrum, and we'll bring in Jake, a.k.a. Fallen Founder, who's in his grandma's basement now.
Absolutely.
And where are you at? You're in like Podunk, Iowa, right?
Absolutely, where it's a brisk negative 22 wind chill. But it was warmer today. It got up to a -5, which was an increase from -11. So,
but what is that in Celsius? That's what we all want to know.
Right. Well, no, Matthew's got that right.
6.
He does numbers.
Matthew, that's
6.
He's the numbers guy.
Yeah.
Well, we're excited to bring you guys on to talk about such a shitty game.
Oh my god.
80 degrees, 27 degrees Celsius.
Is 90 degrees?
Fahrenheit. 80.
Oh, that's not bad at all.
Yeah, that's not bad.
That's nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's nice. And -22, I'm sorry, Jake. That's you're going to need more than a 3/4 sleeve Dave King is your son's daddy shirt to keep you warm in that kind of weather, right?
It you know what? I don't think I've ever paid more for a shirt before, but it is really comfortable. So proud for you for going with like a quality shirt company.
You got the sleeves and everything. John wears those all the time. Looks good.
Yeah. My wife always makes fun of me because I'm always wearing 3/4 baseball shirts, and she's like, "What do you dress like a 7-year-old?" I'm like, "I'm comfortable.
It's a good
and I'm
look.
married. I like it."
Yeah,
I live in the Midwest. It gets cold.
Yeah, so well, we like to thank you guys for joining us, Jamsters. Anybody who's joining us, whether you're watching the podcast or listening at another time, if maybe you're spending your Christmas Eve and you don't want to be around any family, you're walking the dogs around the block, and you know what? I'm going to listen to the Suns Jam Session podcast. We appreciate you taking the time to do so. So make sure you subscribe, rate, and review wherever you're consuming this content. You can follow me at Darth Voida on Twitter. You can read my writing at brightsideofthesun.com. You can follow Matthew.
I'm Matthew Lizzie.
You can follow Sir Hammo.
That's Hammo.
See what I did there? Too easy. And of course, you can follow Jake
at Fallen Founder.
Jake, the podcast free agent. The man without a pod. So
my son's daddy went out for cigarettes once and never came back.
Never came back, did he? He's out there in the cold, negative 22 degrees wind chill factor. So drink them if you got them, because we're going to need them in this one, boys. I got a teeth cracking cold Coors Light. Matthew's got, Matthew, what is that? A land shark?
Yeah. This is actually summer beer.
So it is. So it's kind of like you're hanging out 2 hours south of Sydney with Hammo.
Yeah.
So there we go. So you can't see it in your stupid green screen, but you can hear it right now.
Stupid.
Talk about this shitty fucking game. This game 125 to 100. We actually broke 100 points in this game. Didn't think it was going to happen, especially after a 20-point first quarter and an 18-point second quarter. But it's going to bring me to my first question.
Matthew, I got to ask.
Matthew, I'll start with you. I got to ask, when it comes to this one, did you think that, or were you surprised by the lack of effort and competitiveness that the Phoenix Suns had coming into this game, knowing that the Memphis Grizzlies are the number one team, you're a couple games back? Were you just surprised that they had no fight in them?
Yeah, I was. As soon as Dave King sent out that tweet, like the Suns are going to win, someone followed up. I forget who it was, my bad. But John Morant won't even score 20 points tonight. It seemed like a Suns win. Everyone was super excited on Twitter. All of a sudden, it's 30-10. And being a Suns fan nowadays, it's over in the first quarter. They get so down on themselves. So I was like, this is over. My notes stopped by halftime. Writing notes, that's what we do. And I actually enjoy it. But then games like this, you stop writing notes because what am I going to write about? Oh, no effort. So yeah. Oh, there goes my dryer. Did you hear that?
So you were doing laundry during the game. That's how engaging it is.
It's a laundry, but it's a sad laundry game. Usually back in the day, last season, it was a good laundry game where 5 minutes left, you can just clean up the house a little bit because the Suns would just pull away. But injuries, all that. There's excuses. We'll talk about them.
Well, so Hammo, were you surprised by the lack of effort and competitiveness in this game? I mean, this is an ESPN game. It's a game that you're looking forward to. You've had a couple nights off. You just lost in kind of an embarrassing fashion to the Washington Wizards. You think Monty would have this team kind of ready. You know that they're coming in full strength. They have Desmond Bane back. They're a team that's just lost to themselves, so you know that they're going to come in competitive. Were you surprised that the Suns had zero effort?
Hell yeah, man! It's very similar to when the college teams get in like a really shitty fourth-string high school team or something just to turn them up before the season starts. What the hell is that? Honestly, I got nothing. I don't even know where to start. But you're right. As soon as we get that lead in front of us, we just lose all momentum. We just become depressions, man, and we just stay there.
I mean, Jake, do you feel like this is a team that when we get down by 20, we just have no chance of coming back? Because we've done it a couple times this season.
I was going to say, actually, the Suns are leading the league in most down 20-point comebacks. I think it was something like.
But why are we getting down 20 points?
All the other teams are like 2 and like 80, but we're like 4 and 10. But it's a weird feeling though, right? I mean, because we've been in this slump. It's really a December slump at this point, right? I mean, it's been a rough month with injuries and just losses, and even the wins, like the Clippers win. I mean, it was like we beat them without 5 or 6 of their best players. But I mean, tonight it was like Hammo was saying. I mean, I was wrapping Christmas gifts. It was a sad Christmas wrapping party. Lissy was doing laundry. It was a sad laundry day. I mean, but Hammo is right. I mean, it every time I was like, oh, now Ayton, he put the ball in. All right, now he got a rebound, and then just blown defensive assignment. And then somebody would have a couple good plays, and then that guy would just get wiped off the floor. And it's like, how do you blink that quickly in this game and just look like it looks so much like they weren't playing team ball. Yeah, everyone just every moment, every few plays, somebody goes, you know what? I'll try and fix this by myself, and they couldn't do it.
Yeah, Go ahead, Matthew.
I was going to say the whole rivalry thing too with the Pelicans. I just want to bring this up really quick. Games like this where you're playing the Memphis Grizzlies, like you kind of want that rivalry, but do you just have to wait till the playoffs? Because like you said, like, oh, this guy's out. There's 6 players out. These games like the Pelicans versus Suns, like the Pelicans versus the Grizzlies, they should be like rivalry games, like intense, but there's always injuries. Like during the season, I don't think we'll ever have that. We have to wait for the playoffs, right? Because these games suck.
Yeah, it's December. It's December.
Oh,
It could be Lakers, man.
Yeah,
well, we love this team, and you want them to be perfect. And I think that's, a challenge, especially for anyone who's on Twitter. I mean, you're seeing it. I love Coda Kid in the chat. He's just trade Monty, trade everybody. And then he's just like, I'm just trying to match the energy in Suns world. Because that's what's going on right now is everybody, like, settle down, everybody. That's where I'll start. Was this a shitty game? Yes. Shitty games happen. Okay. For all the reasons that I mentioned, this is a team that was at full strength. And make no mistake about it, the Memphis Grizzlies are a good fucking team. They had the second most wins in the NBA last season. Okay. Barring a Ja Morant injury in the playoffs last year, they could have went toe-to-toe and probably eliminated the Golden State Warriors, and they would have breezed through the Dallas Mavericks, and it would have been a very different, interesting NBA Finals. So this is a good team. Take a look at the Suns on the other side. Do we have problems? Yes, we have numerous problems. We've talked about them ad nauseum, and we'll continue for the duration of this season until some of those things change. But when you don't have Devin Booker, when you don't have Cam Johnson, when you don't have Cam Payne, and when you don't have the size to match what they're doing on the glass, because that's what killed us. In that first half, we were destroyed on the glass. But I'll ask you guys this question. Does anybody know how many games this season have the Phoenix Suns lost by more than 10 points, including tonight?
6.
It's a good guess.
It's 7.
It's 7. Tonight makes 7, the 7th time in our 14 games that we've
Celsius.
Celsius, that's correct. So it factors out to, I think, like 33. But you look at the other side of the coin. The Phoenix Suns, of their 19 wins, 13 of them have been by double digits. It's the duality of this team. We're a team that doesn't play very well in the clutch. We're a team that has a hard time rebounding at times. We're a team that doesn't shoot in the first quarter. We have a lot of these different symptoms, but we're also early enough along, I feel, in the season to where I'm not in full-on panic mode. Am I concerned when I have a game like this? Yes. Do you want to see effort from your team because you've been waiting for it all day? It's easy for Hammo. What time did the game start there? Like noon? 2?
2 p.m. on Saturday.
Yeah, so 2 p.m. on Saturday, so it's Christmas Eve in Australia. He wakes up, he kind of does his thing, and boom, he gets the game. We're waiting until 8:30 at fucking night to watch this shit. What time was it for you, Jake? Like 10:30?
It's midnight now, yeah.
Exactly.
So it's like there's a lot of just anxious. So that's the fan side of it, right? That's the human side of it. But from looking at it through the lens of basketball, pure and utter basketball, it's a team that's just like shit. We're getting ready to go on a 6-game road trip. We have some questions. We have some health issues. We're like a lot of Western Conference teams right now. It's not the end of the world, Suns fans. I think that's what I'm saying. I'm agreeing with what Coda Kid is saying in the chat. He's just like, dude, like, settle down, everybody. Like, quit the negative energy.
Yeah.
Now, that being said, let's eviscerate the Suns for this shitty loss.
All right. You ready?
Yeah,
Who do we start with?
I don't know. I was going to say, I figured a drop was coming at that one.
Oh, that's a good point. I didn't even think about any of the drops. Who do you want to eviscerate first? Let's see. Let's start with the big guy.
Ever since I've been here, we talked about everything you want is on the other side of hard. This is hard.
Monty Williams, coach of the Phoenix Suns.
So, Matthew, should we blame Monty Williams for this kind of shit?
A lot of Monty talk, but I feel like the way you kind of brought it up just before this, where it's a shitty season. It's going to be. You don't take the season, with any seriousness. And I think that a lot of this has to go to injury. You just can't blame the coaches, right? Like, it's kind of like a scapegoat for these guys, right? I think Monty Williams won't be blamed as a scapegoat just because there's injuries. And I feel like it's tough because you're talking about a season where it's really up in the air in the West. Anybody really has a chance to be the number 1 seed. and you're trying to get everyone you can, but then you come out in games like this where you are without Booker, where you're without a ton of people. But like, what can you get most out of Ayton? What can you get most out of Bridges? Like, where's that? Is that coaching? What is that? Like, we want to see a kick-ass Ayton game. Does that start with Monty? I don't know. The game plan for Ayton, does it start at the beginning of the game? Does he know what the fuck to do? Because it always seems like he doesn't know what to do till like maybe halftime or maybe the first time out, something like that. So you can blame Monty if you want. He's not going to be the scapegoat. He's not going to be fired. Whatever. It's going to be our coach till the end of this year for sure.
Oh, yeah.
And he'll get away with these kind of losses because that's the way the NBA is right now, man. Like, there's 30-point losses to shitty teams for every team. Memphis is not a shitty team, but there's just going to be those 30-point losses every other game. It's just a different kind of basketball right now where it's acceptable. It's okay. You move on to the next game, but it's acceptable to a lot of teams right now, right? The fan bases are upset, but the teams are like, yeah, I know, it's the NBA season. That's how everyone looks at it right now. So the coaches are okay, I feel like, in these situations.
What do you think, Hammo?
Well, Matthew said it before, man. I mean, Jar didn't even get 20 points. So it's not like we got taken down by the Grizzlies and superstar Ja Morant, because he was a more or less a non-factor. It's just, it is annoying. I don't know if everything comes down to being Monty. I mean, logic sort of says that it would be, because he should be in charge. But if the players decide to go rogue and freeze Ayton out or do whatever, not saying they are, but whatever's going on, still that's a disciplinary thing, and that should come down to Monty too. But
bingo.
It can't. I don't want to. Matt said it again as well. The scapegoat. I don't want to throw it all on Monty, but no really one else to hang the head on. You know.
Well, I mean, we saw in the last game, right? The footage that came out. Think about that guy who was at the game and he took like that Monty yelling at Ayton moment, and he tweeted that out, and that thing got hit so many times. Like no one knows who that guy was on Twitter. Like imagine if that was you. You're like all of a sudden you're like, oh damn, I just took a video. And
I feel good about myself for once in life.
Yeah,
look at
I
me
got
on
likes,
Twitter, baby.
Yeah, I'm on Twitter. But when you saw that moment happen. Jake, what did you think? What did you take away? Because that's emotion, right? That's Monty Williams trying to hold his team accountable, right? That's him yelling at DeAndre Ayton and Mikal Bridges after something didn't go right. I mean, that's what you want to see. So, again, the duality of the expectation. How did you consume what you saw there?
Well, for me, Monty's always going to be one of those coaches that tries to put the blame on himself largely. I think that's why I was so surprised with the way he acted about the whole Ayton stuff in the playoffs at the end of last year. That was a little different. He's like, oh, that's internal. Usually he would just be like, oh, that's something I need to work on. And I will say that I feel like I do see it a little too often, but I don't blame Monty per se. He has a coaching staff that does need to get into his ear, because how many times have we seen Jock go off or Damian Lee, and all of a sudden it'll be like, hey, why did you put him on the bench and only give him 10 minutes? I got to find a way to get him more minutes. It's not hard. You coach the guy. You say you're out, you're in. It's not hard to put in the right player. Like, I mean, Bismack just I was getting kind of frustrated with him tonight. He, the big guys were just clowning us in the paint, Adams and Jaren Jackson and Brandon Clark. And it wasn't a lack of hustle, I don't think, from Bismack, but he couldn't do it all. And I would have liked to see some more Landale because of that. But, I mean, Monty's got to be willing to pull the trigger on that kind of stuff. I feel like he reminds me a little bit of D'Antoni, though, in that regard, where he'd rather just let you try and figure it out, especially in the regular season.
Agreed.
You start making a few bad plays, I'll give you another 5 minutes to try and figure it out. And it gets frustrating for us because we're the fans, we're the fanatical ones. So we have a few bad games in a row, or one good game or two good games, and then a few bad games that kind of mixed in. It's like we pick up on that a little bit more.
And I think again, when we talk about coaching, Monty Williams, yeah, they didn't necessarily come out with the energy, but they didn't have the size for this team. That was apparent right off the bat. I mean, that first quarter alone, the Memphis Grizzlies end up grabbing 7 offensive rebounds. The Phoenix Suns had 7 total rebounds. Second chance points 10-0. The entire game, 72 points in the paint for the Grizzlies. They had 22 second chance points. So that tells you that first quarter, 10 of the 22 second chance points that occurred happened in that first quarter. From a rebounding standpoint, overall, the Phoenix Suns were out rebounded 53 to 35, 19 to 11 on the glass. So again, I don't know how much you want to put on this truly on Monty. I feel like there's some onus that needs to go to Monty on this. You got to get that team up. But that's, when I saw that, and again, I wasn't on the last podcast. I was watching Christmas Vacation in the movie theater. I was like,
you sicko.
You and Suns Geek. I was hanging out with the fam.
You're still watching this?
Well, I was watching the post game, but I wasn't on it. I was like,
okay.
I was giving you guys shit in the post game, like in
the
chat,
that.
Like with all
it
the
throws
jamsters.
Me off a little bit. I love it.
But Mario Lopez says it. He goes, blame James Jones.
Why? Why?
Because we're blaming everybody. That's what you're doing.
Well, we do. Let me call a timeout here. I know I'm
blaming
the free
that dog.
Here. Let me call a timeout here.
Timeout.
I'm watching. Yeah, timeout. Let's give the Grizzlies another 20 free throw attempts real quick while we have this timeout.
No shit.
I keep seeing these comments. Okay, we need to give the Jamsters some Christmas spirit. We need to spin this stuff. I'm seeing way too much that Monty's the worst, James Jones is awful, and we need to trade everyone. And it actually just seems to continue to repeat. And I'm like, okay, guys, I think we've still won more games than any other team in the last 3 years combined,
Correct.
if I'm not mistaken. I mean, we still have Devin Booker. We are missing multiple key starters and major role players. I mean, guys, we were banking on Dwayne Washington-ish Wainwright. We should not have to rely on two-way contracts to do things. I know that we wanted to see DA and Mikal show up and play hard, but come on, guys! We need to give them the Christmas spirit. That's what we got to do in this podcast. Hammo, you're drinking good bourbon, aren't you?
Yeah.
Brought to you by. Oh yeah, I told him to go out and get some Basil Hayden. We'll turn this pod around real fast.
Well, and again,
very nice
I go back to that emotion that Monty Williams showed with Deandre Ayton and with Mikal Bridges in the last game. And that's what you want, right, Suns fans? Because it's always like Monty doesn't do anything. Monty doesn't make adjustments. Monty's not holding anyone accountable. And then once he does, it's it's falling apart. They can't keep it together on the sidelines. No, man.
It's because you don't see that. You don't see that in the NBA. You don't see the players yelling at the coach a whole lot. And it's fine. It's kind of like the thing T.O. used to do that with the coaches all the time on the sideline, right? Those prima donna receivers. It's he just wants the ball. He just wants to win. Mm-hmm. But it always ends up being that player's just selfish. You know what I mean? And the coach, they always just had it in for each other. So that's how everyone, I think, from the outside looks on it. No one watches the Suns play. They know what happened before the season with Deandre Ayton. They know what happened with the contract. So then playing off of that, if you're going to see anything during the regular season where they're yelling at each other, that's a bad look. So I think it's kind of under the radar now just because Mikal kind of squashed it. He's like, it was my bad, basically. Yeah. He did. And that's fine, but it still looks really bad.
It looks
bad,
but
I'm not going to buy into it.
But I like it, though. I'd rather see 100%.
I think, to me, when you're watching the clip, I'm watching DA look at everybody else for support, and everybody else kind of turns their head like, shut the fuck up, dude. And you saw Booker kind of go over there and put his hand on Monty, and Monty gets up, you know what I mean? So you can see the players and coaching staff on Monty's side in that clip if you really want to dissect it. Ooh. And everyone else is kind of like, DA, just shut the fuck up, all right? Get over it.
So this is a really intense.
Watch.
This is really watching DeAndre Ayton.
Yeah.
That's what you were doing when you were analyzing that clip.
Well, if you're going to analyze it, but it's just a blip in their whole
So what did you
life.
see from DA tonight?
Nothing from anybody, but I just want a kick-ass Ayton game where he goes out there and just rips his jersey off and it's like, hey, JJJ, no, we should have taken me over you, of course, in that draft. Because to me, I'm thinking JJJ looks pretty fucking awesome. Going back to that draft, I always think
but he's
JJJ.
Just like AD, man. It's he looks great for 5 games and then he's out for 20.
Exactly, yeah. So I'm like, oh, should we have drafted him? No, I'm totally joking. But I just wanted Ayton to have a fucking awesome kick-ass game. Excuse my language. But that's what I wanted.
But he got in foul trouble.
He did. Trouble. So what? Who cares? I want him just to go win the game, but it's not going to happen. I know that wasn't going to happen tonight, but I'm just saying that would have been cool.
I'll ask Hammo this. So Ayton comes out in the third quarter and looks great, right? He's aggressive. He's going at it. John Morant does that real herky-jerky shit, runs into DeAndre Ayton's chest. They call him for, his fourth foul, and Monty pulls him. Do you think Monty should have just left him in at that point and just said, write it out?
At least give him one more.
Yes.
Like, let him have one more. But the fouls was a massive problem tonight too. The foul discrepancy between calls from the Grizzlies to the Suns was in the tens. It was ridiculous. Last time I looked at it, it was like 36 calls or something for the Grizz and 12 for the Suns or 8 for the Suns.
Mm-hmm.
It's crazy. It happens every frigging game. But yeah, no, definitely at that stage, man, just let him ride. I mean, it was pretty clear we were going to be dead in the water. We're already sinking. So just, what's going to happen? What's the worst that could happen?
Yeah, at that point, what do you think, Jake? Let it ride?
Absolutely. I will say this, kind of like Matt said about, want to see that Superman moment from DA. When there's a game like this, I would get off my couch and cheer for like a big, strong foul in the paint.
Yes.
Like when Jock drives in, lay him out clean, but lay him out, and then just say, try that again now. And just, who cares if you but he actually, he for a big guy, especially in Suns land, I feel like most of our big post guys always got into foul trouble all the time. So I do appreciate that DA tries to play somewhat clean, but he can use those 6 fouls to establish a little bit more dominance in the paint. And so, congratulations again, soon to be mom, Sonia.
Yeah, Sonia's joined us in the chat, soon to be mom. So she's going to name that child Dave King. Dave King Lovato. Dave, and if it
just one,
the rebirth of Dave.
Boyd. That's right, it's Boyd. No, but I think you're right. One, I think they should have let it ride. Like, let it ride.
Yes,
Monty.
please.
At that point, you're down 20-something points. It ends up being, their biggest deficit was 34 points in this game. And you look at the final foul totals, and the Suns were called for 26, and the Grizzlies were called for 22. The Grizzlies had 38 free throw attempts to the Suns 26, so a discrepancy of 12 right there. And, of course, we shot 57% from the free throw line because we finally get free shots, and we're like, we can't hit these. It all came down to the rebounding. But I really think that this was an opportunity from an Ayton standpoint to just, let it ride. Let him foul out of the game and let him continue to have that rhythm. Because he did have a solid game when he was in there. Total number of minutes played for DA tonight, he only ended with 21, but he was 9 of 12. He had 18 points in 21 minutes. That's great. He had 5 rebounds, and he was getting owned by everybody else on the glass. But that's why it's like, just let it ride for a while. And that's where one of those little Monty opportunities, in the grand scheme of things, this is an opportunity for you to let him kind of continue his momentum. And they had a chance. I like the hard foul thing. You want clean basketball, but there's one guy who you can punch right in the face. And we'll talk about him right after this DraftKings promo.
You looking to make some cold, hard cash? Visit the DraftKings Sportsbook app, an official sports betting partner of the NBA. New customers can bet just $5 pregame moneyline on any NBA team to win their game and get $150 in free bets if they do. Check this out. Right now, everyone can earn up to 100% boost with DraftKings stepped-up same-game parlays. Who doesn't love a good same-game parlay? Download the app now, sign up with code TBPN, place a $5 pregame moneyline bet on any NBA team to win their game and get $150 in free bets if they do. That's code TBPN, only on DraftKings Sportsbook. Win enough money, and who knows, Jamsters, maybe we can buy the franchise from Robert Sarver.
Fuck reading things. That's why I make commercials.
Awesome.
So punchable faces, right? We like to talk about punchable faces. I'm trying to find the drop, Matthew. It's
deleted.
It's in there somewhere.
There's so many.
There's so many old
That was
ones.
like me last pod. I couldn't find, I found it. Want me to hit it?
I got it.
God damn it, I don't know what it is about your face, but I want to deliver one of these right in your suck hole.
And you guys all know who I'm talking about, right? I'm talking about Bill Kennedy. Referee Bill Kennedy tonight. That smug motherfucker, man. He had that one call. So there was the play where I forget who was called for the foul initially. Was it Torrey Craig? But anyways, Brandon Clark gets fouled on a play, and the Suns challenge it. And Bill Kennedy comes up to that microphone. He gets low. He leans to the side. He goes, and he's just like, the challenge was successful. But Brandon Clark will be shooting 2 free throws because he was fouled by Damian Lee. He's like such a smug ass. And then, like, the next time there was another challenge off the goaltending call, he didn't even bother to say, like, Phoenix. He's just like, the offensive team will retain possession. Like, I wanted to punch him right in the face. I really don't like Bill Kennedy. You smug prick.
Dude, and first, who's he talking to? Is it a squirrel in a tree? Who is he talking to?
Yeah, he's like getting on low. And there's
why is he like, what is this, dude?
Well, he looked like the ladies' man. He's like, ooh, it's the
I was going to say it's like a Tinder profile video or something like that.
I don't care how small you are, dude. Like, come on.
That challenge was successful.
Yeah. Slow jams on 92.3. Lights out, Phoenix. I was like, what are you trying to do?
But it was the most entertaining part of the game, honestly.
It was. It
was the only time I actually watched
the smoothest of the smooth challenges.
He didn't touch him. He caressed him. But that's still a foul, baby. 2 shots. Call me, maybe. I was like, what the hell is this crap? But we all know it's Dillon Brooks.
Okay.
Dillon Brooks
I was getting worried there for a second.
Dillon Brooks in this game reminded you, I get it. He's one of those tough defenders, and he's the guy, I'll talk about it a little bit when I was on Subreddit Stakeout, but Dillon the villain, they call him. Dilly. What's the kind of stupid fucking name is that? Dilly. I love having Dilly on my team. They call him Dilly. Nerds.
Like from the Budweiser commercial? Dilly. That's
so. But at the same time, like you have to respect his tenaciousness, but he also reminds you why he wants to like punch you in the. You want to punch him in the face. Like they're up 30 points, and they had a possession in which they got the Suns to do a 24-second violation, and he's just screaming, walking up and down the court. It's like that poor guy. Someone just punch him once, like put him out of his misery. All right, I'm done with my rant. You guys talk. Dilly.
No, it's okay, man.
There's some people out there like that, man, that you just want to bang their head. There's not much you can do.
I want to snip one of those little braids, but not one of the front ones, like one on the side. Just one.
Yeah, just swing him around by it. Shove it in the door.
What's with like the full court defense? Like he'd go up there to Chris Paul and like play full court, and then all of a sudden like he just like would run backwards. Like he's a tough guy. He like acts like a tough guy, but he's like the biggest fake tough guy I've ever seen, because every time he does actually D up and he's like, oh, I'm gonna play tough, like a Patrick Beverly or something, like he doesn't play like on defense. Like Patrick Beverly will get on you, make it really physical and hard. But Dillon Brooks is kind of opposite, I feel like. Like he's good defensively, but not like a Patrick Beverly. He has like the same kind of like look and talk, but it's not Patrick Beverly. It's a little bit worse, man. Kind of like a poor man's version, I feel like.
Well, that's what I'm wondering, as we kind of get closer and closer to the eventual trade deadline, is that, everyone's been throwing out trade ideas, but who is the biggest Suns enforcer or like adjutant that we have on this roster? Like I think it might have been Jay Crowder.
It was Jay Crowder.
Yeah. And it's noticeable that we miss him now, like, because he did bring that kind of physicality and emotion that I think some of the other guys could feed off of. And because DA, he's not soft, but I mean, he doesn't like the one time I forget what game it was now. Was it the Lakers where he like looked down at a player and they're like, technical. You mean mugged him.
Yeah. You looked at somebody.
Yeah.
Dillon Brooks is literally like hip checking Chris Paul up and down the court.
Yeah.
There's one play where he it almost looked like he ran and threw an elbow into his back. Like if he was wearing a Suns jersey, he would have had 12 fouls a night, because the Suns can't do anything without getting called for a foul. And Dillon Brooks, he's like, they're like, that guy's got, look at the way he hustles. Just
really plays hard.
The heart that he's got. He's such a great, he's just a nice guy. Dillon Brooks is going to be one of those guys in like 20 years. He's going to be so ugly because he's going to get so fat. You can already see like a fat.
Wow, you're actually calling to his future fatness?
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah,
The opposite of Oliver Miller. I guess he's like a thin guy now. So
well, Oliver Miller cared, but like
Ollie lost the weight. Good.
I guess
yeah,
so,
they were
that's
showing
what I
him. They were showing him up
Yeah,
on the big screen.
that's
It
what I
looked like he lost some weight. But I mean,
Tired of being alone will help you. Yes, Dylan Brooks is tired of being alone in 10 years.
he's got one of those fat faces, and the only reason he's not there yet is because he plays professional basketball. The moment that guy retires, dude, he's like, I hate Dylan Brooks so much.
Suns physicality too. Like there's nothing there. Obviously, these games they get punched in the face, and I get Booker's out, and I get that. We're down. Cameron
Booker's not
Johnson,
a tough guy,
but he's not. He's finesse just like the rest of them.
Mm-hmm.
So when we get punched, DA. The thing is, like, we don't have that leader out there. Chris Paul does as much as he can, but it takes him. It's like a corkscrew out there trying to get that turnaround, and it just takes forever. And it's hard to get off. He got it off a few times in the first quarter, but there's something where they do get punched in the mouth, and there's no resilience at all.
We don't have a dog.
What's up?
We don't have a dog.
You have a
No,
dog.
not
there.
at all. It's nothing.
No,
It's like everyone's always looking towards the ceiling. DA's always like looking like, oh, let me look at the replay because I don't want to look at these guys in the eye. Like it's just that's the way it is for the Suns right now, and everyone knows that. And it's hard to watch for that reason. Like if we're to lose these games as expected, because we don't have Booker, we don't have our MVP candidate, supposedly whatever. But I hate watching these games knowing that there's guys out there that won't respond to tough situations, and maybe because the game plan, maybe because they don't know what they're supposed to be doing out there. Because that's what it looks like. It looks like a team that doesn't know where the hell to go on offense, where they're just trying to find the hot guy. Washington comes in. Let's see if he can get hot. Nope. Landell, let him shoot a three. Maybe he can get hot. You know what I mean? That's what it just kind of seems like. And we just kind of hope that happens to get the win. Of course I want the win, but I want just some kind of attitude, especially against a Grizzlies team that thinks they're next. They're the next big team in the West. And they're going to be in the championship this year. I want to punch them in the mouth, even if we lose. I want.
See, there's the dog.
Attitude,
that's the dog that we need on this team right there.
Was that me or was that the dog? I thought that was.
That's
that didn't come out of me.
Hammo's got the dog.
Out of my voice.
But
that's the little one of the two as well.
We need that because again, without Boss Man, we don't have an enforcer. We just don't. And when you take a look at the top of the Western Conference right now. Okay, the Memphis Grizzlies are physical and have enforcers. The Pelicans are physical and have enforcers. The Denver Nuggets are physical and have enforcers. And then you've got this Phoenix Suns team that is a finesse team that plays well together when healthy because of the organic chemistry that they've developed over years that a lot of teams are trying to mimic. You see a lot of these teams, there's not a lot of crazy transactions going on because everyone's seeing like, oh, continuity, consistency. That's how you win ball games. You don't go and just try to buy a championship. You develop one. The Suns have done that, but at the same time, they've left out that key factor that you need in NBA basketball. You need physicality. We don't have it. Does James Jones go and get it? That's what everybody's sitting around waiting for, right, Jake?
Absolutely. Well, and I think the good news, too, is we still have it's amazing how shorthanded we are and still how tough we are in our team. And I know it's because we see the potential in these guys. We've obviously shown how great we could be with going to the finals and then a decent-sized playoff run last year.
We've experienced the potential.
But, I mean, we still have an open roster spot on this team. So not only are we we're paying Jay Crowder just sit at home, we could sign anyone off the street right now to walk in the door and actually be that dog. But I mean, obviously you would have to go find the right fit, but I mean,
Kaepernick.
It's going to be
Kaepernick.
I don't know. People keep
we all know it's Hassan Whiteside.
Me 3 years ago would have agreed.
Right? No, my dad's a big fan of his, by the way. Two Towers. Let's do Ayton and Whiteside. But no, it's this trade deadline. I mean, it's kind of interesting because how long I'd say for the last 10 years, we've seen it so many times going into the draft. Probably, maybe not as much with this last year, but it's so important the Suns get the draft right this year. This is the most important draft we've had but it was always the most important one because we were never picking up the right players. This is going to be the most important trade deadline for James Jones to really nail because Booker is that difference maker player. Paul has taken a half step back. And we do have some really quality pieces. Bridges can be good. And Ayton, I mean, I know some people are frustrated with him, but he's super efficient. I mean, he scores so, and his range is great
moving forward.
He's not shooting like 70%, but only under the basket. He's like shooting 60% from wherever he wants to. And so it's going to be important.
Were those
to get the
stats you were just giving me?
They were numbers I got from Matt.
Check this out.
Ooh, Dave, stat me.
There you go, Dave King. The drop lives on in
here.
the Suns Jam Session podcast. Sorry, carry on.
So we keep cutting you off, man.
Hey, that's what we do. We cut each other off here.
No, I just think so. It's going to be important to get the trade deadline right, because I know a lot of people are saying, "Oh, let's go get that next star." Absolutely, I'm all about it. But there's going to be another little move, I think, that's going to bring in a 15-minute, 18-minute night guy who could just bird dog somebody that's a guard, or just kind of really rough people up down low. That'd be great to see.
So here's something that's interesting as we talk about the trade deadline. We know that Matt Ishbia, and I got to get used to saying this guy's name, Matt Ishbia, is going to be buying the Phoenix Suns, right? It's going to take some time, but eventually he's going to own the Phoenix Suns. And the rumors are out there, and it's typical when a new ownership group takes hold of a franchise or an organization, they like to put their guys in place in the positions of influence, right? I mean, you're buying something that you're investing in something. So how James Jones navigates this trade deadline may ultimately impact how long he stays with the Phoenix Suns. Now, granted, ownership of the Phoenix Suns, they promoted him this season. They're pushing his value and trying to display how important he is to this franchise and what he's meant. But if you go out and you lay an egg, and let's not lie, James Jones, the past couple trade deadlines, laid an egg. Kind of just doesn't do shit. There's Jalen Smith. I'll get back Torrey Craig. 2 years ago, when the Suns are making a march towards the finals, and we're like, hey, we probably need one more big man. They're like, he's like, Torrey Craig. Like, he loves Torrey Craig at the trade deadline. It's what he does, right? Outside of that, he hasn't really done much at the trade deadline. It's clear that this team will need some form of a big man, of physicality. And Mario Lopez says it in the chat. He says, Sam Presti on the way. And that was one of those things. I tweeted this out. I'm like, so if Ishbia is linked to Presti, is there any way he hints to SGA prior to moving to Phoenix and then just brings Presti to the Suns next year? Hashtag Sunspiracy. And then, of course, everyone from Oklahoma City, whenever I tweet out anything about SGA, Oklahoma City people show up like, you're fucking stupid. And we'll never do that. And like, I know I'm right. Or you're right. Like, it'll never happen. It's a dream. I'm allowed to dream, and I'll tweet about my dreams, okay? But, Matthew.
I'll tweet about my dreams.
I tweet about my dreams. I tweet in my dreams. I wake up, I'm like, what's going on? Merry Christmas. Merry Chrysler. So, but Matthew, do you think
Merry Chrysler.
That's all we do in my house right now? We're like, Christmas. But Matthew, do you think that this trade deadline is super important for James Jones, considering that his job might be on the line after the season, considering there's new ownership on the way?
Yeah, it is. And the reason is we've seen what we have with this team right now. We've seen what our weaknesses are, and everyone's calling out for like the Kyle Kuzma, for the KD thing's gone. The Nets look fucking awesome. They're probably going to go win the Super Bowl this year. So they're good to go. They're fine with KD. We're not going to get him.
Good thing the Super Bowl's in town this year, so maybe we can trade him.
And we could still, we can all go with Booker, but there's the weaknesses. We see it. The whole thing with the Jay Crowder situation, it might have been mishandled. The whole thing with the Ayton thing might have been mishandled. These are things we're going to bring up when I feel like James Jones is replaced
gone.
or something, or Monty is gone. We'll be like, damn, no, because that's the way this franchise is. We love everybody we have. I don't know what that was. We love everybody that we have on this team, on the coaching staff. We don't want to trade any of them away. But then if it's going to happen and we get someone like a Presti that really makes a change that us fans really want, then we'll be like, oh, remember the days when we had James Jones? Like, what the fuck was that? Like, I know we have this guy and this guy, but
it'll always be that way.
It'll always be that way because you can't really go into the future and think like, oh, I can't imagine this team without this guy. Because right now the Suns they're one of the best run organizations in the league. They are. Now that we have a new owner, everything's looking great. But you're gonna think about, what else can we get next? What else can we get next to make this team an actual championship contender where everyone's like, yeah, they're for real this year? Because right now we are looked at as a joke, and that's hard to overcome until you get to the playoffs and actually prove yourself. But right now we know our weaknesses. So until you feel that, it's going to be hard for James Jones to actually come up and say, yeah, Yeah, if he comes up empty, it's going to look bad. It's going to look really bad on this franchise, I feel like.
So, Hammo, either you're thinking deeply or you're highly intoxicated. So tell me what you're thinking, and tell me if
Hazel Hayden, baby.
And tell me if you think that, we see the weaknesses. Do you think James Jones sees the weaknesses?
I think we need to step back and look at how much James Jones has redefined the culture over the last couple of years. He, bringing in Monty and bringing in just the environment that comes with Monty and his beliefs and everything like that. I think we're too quick to jump on James Jones. Yeah, okay, he's the trade thing. Yeah, he might balls that up a few times. But he's turned this team around to the point where regular people like us are able to do things like this and talk about the Phoenix Suns. A couple of years ago, I was talking to Jake earlier today. The Aussie Suns, man, we started off with 8 people. Didn't even think there was 8 Aussie Suns fans. And
it grew.
Look where we are now, all of us.
But that being said,
a lot of that credit needs to go to James Jones.
The credit can live with James Jones, but you're only as good as your last season, especially when a new ownership's coming in.
Totally.
So do you think
as good as your last match?
Yeah, and do you think Matt Ishbia will come in and just be like, "Hey, I'm going to bring some guys with me from Michigan State." Ugh. How do you guys feel about Michigan State?
I don't watch college at all.
That's not the Spartans, is it?
Yeah.
Well, all I know is the Notre Dame football team is 48-28-1 against Michigan State all time. So, go Irish.
Well, it wouldn't be like OKC to let go of at all.
What are you laughing at, Matthew?
That was from Fry's, one of those pull-out stickers, isn't it?
No.
Right before you leave the door, you're like, all right, I got 50
I got that on my 30th birthday. Go Irish. Tatty. Sorry. Anyways, James Jones.
No, but it wouldn't be the first time OKC's let go of future superstars for dumb reasons, dumb returns.
But SGA's a superstar, though. Oh, but you're right. Westbrook, Durant,
James
Harden.
Russell Westbrook. They had
True.
Chris Paul for a little while. He was shite then. But
So maybe I think you hit the nail on the Hammo. Or the Hammo on the nail. So I got something there. That's why OKC fans are so protective of SGA, because they've had superstars come through that city and for dumb reasons end up being gone. So anytime you tweet anything, yeah. I mean, they've had a murderer's row of people if they just kept together for a couple more years. I mean, they went to a finals.
2012.
So that's why they hate me so much. OKC Twitter hates me because I'm always like, here's my thoughts on this trade. And I wrote a piece for Brightside. I always bring it back up and just gets destroyed.
Everybody hates everybody on Twitter.
And the Mavs went on to win. I think it was 2012.
That's correct. No, because the Mavs beat the Heat.
Yeah, in the Western Conference Finals.
It was the Warriors, wasn't it? Wasn't that when KD left the Thunder to go to the Warriors after that?
But they made the finals. Did they lose to the Heat? OKC. They
never went to the finals.
No, they made to Western Conference.
No, they did.
Really?
Yeah.
I could have swore they went to the finals.
I'm pretty sure.
But I got basketball.
OKC went to the finals.
Oh,
they did.
Wait, yeah, wasn't James Harden still coming off the bench for him then?
Yes.
And
then the next season.
That's right. Yes. That was when Kendrick Perkins was still a player.
They lost in the finals, 2012. So Hammo's right, to the Miami Heat.
Big
Perk. That was Miami's first championship, right? Yeah, that was their first championship.
No, they won in 07.
I mean, with LeBron.
Yes, with LeBron.
Yep.
Yeah, because they lost the year before to the Spurs. So, no, you're right. So again, it's not completely out of the realm of possibility. Going back to my initial thought process here, Matt Ishbia, like Sam Presti, no Sam Presti, ties to Sam Presti, but hey, do me a solid. Trade SGA to the Suns for Jay Crowder and blah 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 blah.
Landry
and then next year you'll be in Phoenix coaching SGA with Devin Booker and DeAndre Ayton and Mikal Bridges. Let's make this happen. It's complete bullshit. It'll never happen because I want it to, but I can fantasize on my own podcast. Fuck off, people. These are my dreams and I tweet them.
Well, what's more realistic? Is it Ayton being traded, or else we actually get rid of James Jones for Presti?
What's more realistic is James Jones being gone. Not for Presti, but James Jones being gone. Ayton's not going to be traded in the next couple of years from the Suns. I truly believe that. Ayton, when you look at him, I really think what he brings to this team and the value that he has at his position, although he doesn't produce max center type numbers, he's very efficient, as Jake said earlier, on the offensive end. He plays really solid defense, and his versatility in the modern NBA is something that's really hard to quantify. And I think that that's what's going to keep him a member of the Phoenix Suns for at least the next couple of years.
It depends what day you're talking about. Like today, no. The day before, yes. Tomorrow, I'll be like, yeah, I love Ayton. Then the next game, no.
Merry Christmas.
No. Christmas Day, no.
Happy Chrysler. I don't know.
I'll say
what do you
this
think,
about DA though. I mean, I think you read his stats as 9 of 12, but like 5 rebounds or something.
Yeah.
I mean, he was guarding Aquaman down there, and that dude is a beast. Steven Adams, Australia's own, Hammo's own.
No, he's
right
a Kiwi.
Yeah.
Kiwi.
Yeah.
He's in New Zealand.
Seriously, build a wall. Foreigners are coming into Australia. Hammo knows what I'm saying. That's going to shock a little bit of the Jamsters right there.
Pull that out.
12 children, actually. And his sister was either an Olympic or a Commonwealth Games gold medal shot putter.
Holy shit, athletic fucks.
It's a lot of history.
All I know is I love him in Aquaman because
native New Zealanders, Indigenous New Zealanders, big people.
Yeah, and it was huge. His head alone. But either way, I mean, DA was on him. You had Jaren Jackson. You had Brandon Clark. You had some big dudes going down there.
He's not going to grab a bunch of boards.
No, you know what it reminded me is he was kind of playing that. Remember Robin Lopez with the Suns? And he would occasionally have some good games for us, but he never got a lot of rebounds. But what he did is he could seal out other people from getting the rebounds. The problem is for the Suns right now, your next best rebounder is Torrey Craig or Landry Shamet. Shamet was also 5 rebounds. So, I mean, when you're down Cam Johnson, when Jay Crowder's not playing, when Booker's not playing, DA can only hold so many of those guys back because they were attacking the back. Somebody tweeted out that they had more offensive rebounds than we had total rebounds. So as much as I was disappointed that Ayton didn't play with a little bit more fury, I mean, he had to feel like, I mean, what do you guys want me to do here?
Yeah, true. But if we're going to look back 10 years from now and be like, oh, yeah, remember when Ayton was like being out rebounded by Steven Adams? I know Steven Adams is big.
Steven Adams and Jalen.
Exactly.
Jaron Jackson.
He could steal one guy, but then he had to run to the other guy.
I'm talking about just getting between Adams and the basket. Didn't happen all night. Do they play a different way now where you're going to stand behind him the whole game or else like push him on the side and just keep pushing him? Like he just never got any kind of positioning on him at all. And it might be impossible against that guy. It probably is.
It is. He's the top offensive rebounder in the league.
First quarter, you're right, I think. But I think he did pick it up later on after the first. Because, Adams had like 5 rebounds in the first 5 minutes or something crazy.
Oh, yeah. He was just throwing it up against
DA finally was like,
behind him,
Monty must have gotten his face on
backboard over and over. He's like, I'm just going to pad my stats.
Because he can't score, really.
Yeah.
I have lobbied for Steven Adams on our team for a long time on our podcast, man. I think he just brings so much more than what a lot of other people can. He's really not that expensive either. So,
and he found a great fit because he does exactly what he needs to do in Memphis, too.
Well, they just gave him a big payday, though, didn't they? I mean, he's not like a minimum guy.
No, I think it's 14. 14
yeah, I mean, I thought that was a lot for a guy that can't play outside of 5 feet.
Do you see the video of him torturing Embiid, though? Just like leaning on his shoulder and all that kind of stuff?
I saw that. Yeah, he's 17 mil.
That's 17. Well, okay.
Oh, no, you're right. His previous contract, but he's 12-6, 12-6 for the next 2 years with Memphis, and he's 29 years old. So I mean,
it's not bad.
It's not bad. I think the challenge with Steven Adams comes playoffs time. You can strategize against him and get him off the court. And I was thinking about that today. Like there's it's such a different ball game when you hit the playoffs. It's such a different way of approaching things and taking things away. And the Memphis Grizzlies are a team that they have that physicality and they have that ability to rebound on the interior. But I also think that due to their streakiness and some of their over-aggression, you can take advantage of that from in a coaching standpoint in a 7-game series. That's why when I look at the top-tier teams in the Western Conference and I see Memphis, they don't truly scare me because I think in the concept of a 7-game playoff, I think that Denver's scary. I think that New Orleans is really scary.
You shouldn't be scared by Memphis. That's the point.
Yeah. But I'm not scared by them. So this was a fluke game. But I'll tell you what was going on in the subreddit stakeout in the concept of time.
The Suns Jam Session subreddit stakeout.
All right, so there I was hanging out on the subreddit stakeout. The first thing, so what's interesting? Did you say boo?
I said bro.
Oh, bro.
I would never boo you.
Dude, Jake just showed up. He looks like the Shredder.
Those turtles.
Raphael. So
no, actually, I wasn't in the red eye the stakeout, so I should probably go away. Yeah.
So what's interesting is when you go to the subreddit of an opposing team, it always says like game day thread, Grizzlies 19-11 versus the Suns 19-13. There's literally, oh my God, look at Hammo, dude. He brought a mask.
That's Slipknot. Is that Slipknot? Joey Jordison right there?
Oh yeah.
Are you Jordy Jordison?
He was telling me today.
Joey Jordison actually died. My bad.
Oh well,
that's
alive and well in the Suns Jam Session. But what they said on the game day thread, it literally said, "Fuck Chris Paul, Grizzlies 19-11 visit Suns 19-13." That was the title of the game day thread.
Poor Chris Paul.
Yeah, poor guy. He's just trying to live his life.
He's like Lenny.
just on the last leg, maybe having her last Christmas. These Suns throwbacks are so fucking fire, was a nice comment. No one on their team can rebound right now. It's glorious. Jesus, having our starters back has additional benefits. Our backup squad is now Tyus, Clark, Aldama, Conchar, and I guess Roddy. This is going to be a cakewalk. So again, it just goes to show you that this is a team that finally was fully healthy, and they knew that they're set. I mean, we're out there with Torrey Craig and Landry Shamet. Landry Shame T was out there. I wish I was in Phoenix. You like that nickname I came up with? It's
yeah.
like Ice-T, but Shame T.
No, just reading our players, it's fucking hard to listen to.
I know that too. I wish I was in Phoenix. It's -3 degrees, and it feels like -27 where I'm at right now. LOL. I think that was actually Jake Fallen Founder. He was on
I was a Grizzlies fan.
Yeah, you were hanging out on their subreddit, and you're like, I'm just going to talk about the temperature.
Exactly.
Somebody said, give Ayton a gun. It's the only way he can handle Adams. And then somebody replied, he'd probably miss. I thought that was pretty funny. And then the last thing on the
75% tonight, he wouldn't miss that.
Yeah, I know. I'm like, what do you guys talk about missing? But the last thing they said, and I thought this was kind of funny. So I don't know if you guys know this, but Danny Green is a member of the Grizzlies. He's been injured all season, but it's a solid pickup for them. So they do have Danny Green. They said, I saw on our NBA today that a favorite NBA conspiracy was that Danny Green was a Lionel Richie love child. Subreddit stake.
The Suns Jam Session subreddit stakeout.
I could totally.
You can see that, right?
I could totally see that. Dude.
He looks like Lionel Richie.
Is that like just a joke they have?
I don't know. I think it's a funny joke, but it's like
Lionel Richie fucked AC Green, but yeah.
Yeah, I can see that.
Fiesta.
AC Green never nailed and never nailed anybody. He's my dad's favorite player or favorite son growing up because he was celibate. He's like,
I think that's the biggest
Christian.
fib. That's the biggest fib.
It is. Dude, AC Green was nailed. He's Danny Green's dad. Him and Lionel Richie had a baby.
He's celibate by choice, man. Have you seen the brother?
Yeah.
I mean, he's like what, 6'10"?
It was that high top, man. It was that
he was my favorite player growing up. I saw him at a wrestling match. So he goes to a wrestling match and then he just doesn't get laid after.
He's like fighting boners.
He goes home. Watches Die Hard. What does he do?
Were commingled, or I would have been a wrestler years ago. What am I
doing? Jam Star of the Game.
All right, Jamsters, it's a reminder. Subscribe, rate, and review. If you're watching the podcast, hit that thumbs up button. We truly appreciate it. Make sure you head over to the Aussie Suns Fans Podcast, do the same, and head over to Jake's podcast and give it a middle finger because it doesn't exist yet. Free agency status. But let's know in the chat who your jam star of the game is. Let's go around the room. Let's start with Jake. Jake, who's your jam star of this game?
Oh God, I'm looking at the stats.
I know it's tough.
I don't want to give anybody an award. I'm going to go with, you know who I'm going to go with? Josh Okogie. Even though he airballed that horrible 3 at one point, he was the only guy that, and he didn't even do it all the time, but enough for me to take notice. He had a nice offensive rebound, like put back over like 3 other people. He played some tough D. He was sprinting down to go get loose balls and trying to tap it back out of people's hands. So I'll go with Okogie. You know, like you wish you had about 4 or 5 more guys with that same kind of, you know,
Amen.
like Rudy Rudiger, you know, if you had a 10th of the heart of Okogie out there, you would have been a starter.
You're 5 foot nothing, 100 and nothing. And you got a speck of athletic ability. And you're Josh Okogie. All right, what do you think, Hammo?
Look, I was loving what Okogie was doing, but there was times there I was like, can you just stop and just keep playing defense? Like, don't touch the fucking ball other than passing it. I'm going to have to give it to Chris Paul, man. He just seemed to look around when nothing was going. He's just like, all right, usual run in, step back, elbow jump up, look around like, you see what we have to do? We have to put the ball in the basket over and over, and more times than them.
What do you think, Matthew?
Oh, I'm going to go. Was that loud?
No, it's fine.
Oh, was that good? Okay.
That was fine. Audio check right at the end of the pod.
It was loud in my earphones. I'm going to go Bismack, man. Those fucking blocks. It's like, I'm sick of this shit. I'm cursing a lot this pod. I'm sorry, but I'm sick of this stuff, dude. I'm sick of these guys having their way with me. I'm going to do what I can as a guy who, like, as the player I am, I'm not going to play these extra minutes and be like an actual Ayton the way Ayton should be playing, but I'm going to give him my all. Those blocks were like insane. The way he's so competitive all the time, he can only do as much as he can. Mm-hmm. But tonight I love watching that dude. He might be the most consistent player on our team because as maybe the backup, other than maybe, no, I think he might be, because I feel like every time he's out there, man, who did he block tonight? Who was that dunk? Who tried to dunk on him?
Was it Brandon Clark?
It might have been that.
Or was it Conchar? It was Conchar.
There's a few of them.
It was Conchar where Conchar was like winding up. He's like,
yeah,
be on the next NBA
like
2K.
Tomahawk.
Yeah. Like, nope.
And then he blocked Morant from behind. Like those kind of plays. It's like, if the Suns, if they can play like him every game with his emotion and energy, it would probably been a closer game tonight.
Well, I see what the Jamsters are saying. You got Man Rock says no one deserves it. Coda Kid gives it to Dylan Brooks. Face. No awards from Atlas. D-Wash Jr. because he was the most composed I saw out there. No awards again from Man Rock. Busy from Mario.
It's getting dark.
Yeah, I know.
These podcasts are getting pretty dark. Too.
I'm giving it to Bill Kennedy, man. I mean, that smooth motherfucker. He was all right.
He was dancing on the ceiling.
He's like,
he was on roller skates.
Danny Green, I know your daddy-o.
Was he on roller skates? I feel like he was on roller skates.
He did. He was.
You like worked at the Sonic Drive-In?
Yeah. Don't tip me. Will Ferrell semi-pro. He's doing the halftime show out there.
Jackie Moon.
Yeah. So
that's who I'm going to give it to.
I'd love to see him wrestle there. That'd be fun.
Yeah.
I'm going to answer one question real quick before we get out of here. Brian James Esquire. Brian James Esquire in the chat. Question for the panel: who's the better player at this point in the career, Jackson Jr. or Ayton? I think that's a no-brainer, right? How many of those guys have been to the finals? How many? What's the best ability you can have in the NBA? It's availability, right?
No, yeah, Ayton is for sure. But if JJJ was healthy, and he'd have
course,
he would be fucking dominant.
JJJ was healthy.
I know. I'm just saying,
if DeAndre Ayton could hit 20,
if DeAndre Ayton gave a shit 50% of the games, he'd be an all-star. But he's never gonna be. It's so crazy. We're gonna talk about trades in the future. Oh, you didn't trade Ayton and McHale? That were never all-stars for fucking Kevin Durant, or that would have never happened. But we would talk about it in the future. Be like, wait, those guys never made the all-star team. Why did you guys want them? Like, this is like talk 20 years from now. I don't know.
I think you bring up a great point, though, Matthew. If he gave a shit 50% of the time, he'd be an all-star 100% of the time. That'd be a new tagline.
You enjoyed him half as much as he's enjoyed you.
Where's this journey? Okay, he had a good game tonight, but I mean, I'm looking at his. I always remember he could never hit the broadside of a barn. He's usually a sub 50% shooter. Last year, he shot 41.5%.
That's on the interior primarily, right?
He scored 16.3 points in 27 minutes a game. His career shooting percentage 45%. His career rebound numbers 5 rebounds. Like, we get on DA because he doesn't have double-digit rebounds every night. We would lose our minds with Jaren Jackson.
Yes. Yeah, we couldn't handle that kind of jazz.
So. No, don't get me wrong. He's a good defender, and he's got a lot of good things going for him, but a little bit more total package.
He's too crazy. He's very slow, and he's just kind of all over the place. He has no stability on offense. You just don't know what you're going to get from him driving to the rim. He's just kind of nuts.
Apparently, he can alley-oop Brandon Clark, though. I will say that.
He's all
what is the slowest, ugliest looking alley-oop I've ever seen.
So
he was trying to do a crossover, and he just let it.
He's like,
they call him
skyhook.
Well, on that note, Jamsters, I'd like to thank you for hanging. Yeah, it's an hours go by quick when you got good friends. Yeah, this is
you guys
the
want to discuss favorite Christmas movies.
I could do
favorite Christmas movies.
Yeah, what do you want to? We can knock that out.
Childhood trauma. No.
Childhood trauma. We'll save that one for Christmas night
because
we're gonna have some more trauma on Christmas night. So tune in for that, Jamsters. But again, I want to thank both Hammo from the Aussie Suns Fans Podcast and Jake, Fallen Founder, for joining us. Hammo, let everyone know where they can follow you and consume all of your content.
Yeah, check us out at Hammo on Twitter. Aussie Suns Fans on Twitter, YouTube. We do our own podcast apparently.
Tomorrow, right? You guys always do them on like Sunday our time.
No,
Saturday
we're actually
taking
a little bit of break till after Christmas. That's all.
Come on, guys. We go live after every game here.
Not allowed.
Never take a fucking break.
Look at what we're dealing with.
Availability.
We're dealing with 60 watchers, and everyone's saying there's no jam stars.
I don't know
fucking brutal out here, dude.
I don't know the password. So thank you very much. I was really excited to come on today, pod with you guys and Jake too. It's been an absolute hoot, and looking forward to hopefully getting a W sometime this year.
Yeah,
we got to get you guys on after a win. Jake, you want to tell everyone where they can follow you?
Yeah, find me at Fallen Founder. It was a great time being on here. I got to give props for Hammo for saying, we should see if they'll let us join tonight. I said, well, I did get my Dave King shirt, so I was So we slid into the DMs of the Jamsters tonight.
What I say, folks, hit me up on the DMs. We're nice guys. Okay?
Yeah, even Jamsters out there. If you guys remember, we used to have Jamsters on the show come on and talk.
Yeah, we used to have Jamsters react.
Yeah, no one comes on, so come on.
Yeah, we'll talk.
That's
tell me
how
what
I
you think
ended
about
up
the
with
game.
the Suns podcast, man. They just found me one day lurking around the DMs, just like, you on camera.
I'll be there. Yes, sir. Matthew, you want to tell them where they can follow you? All right. And you can follow me at Darth Voida. Make sure you read my writing at brightsideofthesun.com. I got a nice little piece coming out tomorrow about how to bet on Christmas Day via DraftKings. And on that note, we'll see you guys on Christmas. So everyone have a fun and safe holiday. Cheers, Matthew. What do they need to do?
Go home and love your family.
Take care, everybody.